Welcome back to the fourth lecture in this week, where we will continue our discussion on supply chain management, and specifically we will be talking on logistics and distribution part of the supply chain. So, we are going to see what are typical activities under logistics and distribution system, the components of a logistics information system, about we will be talking about a warehouse management system and transportation management system. Many times, in fact, many people use supply chain and logistics interchangeably. However, formally the logistic concerns with the efficient transfer of goods from the source of supply to the place of manufacturer. So, the logistics concerns with the efficient transfer of goods from the source of supply through the place of manufacturer to the point of consumption in a cost effective way, while providing an acceptable service to the customer. In fact, as it has been defined, your supply chain logistics is a part of supply chain, where in addition to taking care of the customers and taking care of the customer management and supplier management. And logistics itself has two parts, one is your materials management, another is your distribution management. In fact, as I have told you, we have been using 3 books, and whenever there is any additional source, I will be mentioning it explicitly on the side, or if I do not mention it explicitly, it basically from those books only. Okay. So, if you look at the typical flow of material from suppliers through the customers, there are many stationary functions and there are many movement functions. For example, here every transfer that we see is actually a movement function, and this particular diagram shows the cumulative logistics and total product cost when the item moves from the supplier till the end customer. If you look at this diagram, forget about what exactly the exact steps that happen here, you can read it out, but the point that we can see here is, if we by the time the item reaches the end customer, the total the logistics cost is actually half, almost more than half of the total cost. This is a typical scenario. So, therefore, it is it can be understood that how important it is to optimize to minimize this total logistics cost, so that the ultimately either the cost of the item decreases and more profit is made by the members in the supply chain. This is a typical scenario of various information systems that is involved during this logistics and distribution operation. As I told you, this as it has been defined, that supply chain is about connecting suppliers with customers through logistics operations. So, there are many activities which are related to the supplier and many activities which are related to the end user. And if we look at only this logistics part, this has two broad systems associated with it, two independent systems. one is a transport management system and the other one is a warehouse management system. So, in this the this warehouse management system as well as this transport management system, both these systems are though they are independent, they get the data from the ERP system and they send some data to the ERP system as well. So, this as shown, this data about both material as well as the related information flows in this system. So, what are the typical activities of a logistics information system? Look, this here the ERP will have a corresponding logistics or SCM module to which has to be connected with logistics and supply chain module, which has to be connected with a warehouse management system and with a transport management system. Now, this module of ERP, this logistics and SCM module has typically many functions. What are they? Some will be planning function, some will be coordinating function, some will be controlling function and some will be customer service and communication function, and there will be a centralized database and all these subsystems will be taking data from the centralized database and restoring the updated information. So, what are various data that is there? It has some external data like customer orders, inbound shipments, etc. It has certain internal data like that of your production and inventory. And what are various planning functions? Stock management, then this stock management by product, by customer and by location, then demand forecasting, strategy planning, then coordinating functions are production scheduling, material requirement planning, sales and marketing planning. Then there are customer service and communication functions, this customer order status, inventory availability, then your this inventory availability by product as well as by stock location, availability of inventory by product and by stock location, then outbound shipment status, then control functions such as understanding what is the current customer service level, what are vendor performance, what are the carrier performance and what is the overall system performance. Corresponding metrics has to be designed for all this. But this logistics information system, which can be either part of the ERP or it can be some legacy system which exists at the manufacturer's side, has to be ultimately connected. Has to be ultimately connected with that of transportation system, with the transportation management system or with warehouse management system. So, we are now going to talk about the warehouse management system. Typically, the management of a large distribution center is a very complex task, because there may be thousands of orders which are received in a day across the range of thousands of SKUs and all requiring consolidation by individual orders, packing and dispatch in possibly hundreds of vehicles. So, this is a typical large warehouse scenario. Now, to manage such large warehouses, this system has to get the data from corresponding ERP system. So, this has to be interfaced with the company's main transaction such as ERP or some kind of legacy system, which has to have the functionality that we have already discussed. To access the information such as purchase order and to download the customer order and so on. This WMS will feed back the information such as goods received and dispatched back to ERP. then WMS is used to can also control all the operations in the warehouse and issue instructions to subsidiary systems such as equipment control system. What are the typical functionalities of WMS? Receiving, which includes your yard planning, checking against electronic advance shipping notice, checking for dimensions and weights, quality sampling and so on. Then next function is put away. It has to have algorithms to determine the best storage location, and it has to support all possible storage types. Then replenishment. It is about giving a fixed trigger points or order based replenishment to peak locations. Then picking, deciding about the peak route, because the your warehouses will be so large that again you have to run some kind of good routing algorithm to optimize the peak route within the warehouse itself. Then slotting, that is about optimum locations of each SKU in the peak phase. It can have many value added services like kitting, preparing kits, labeling, final assembly, which of course requires bill of material. Then another activity is packing, which requires identification of correct carton size by the database dimension for all the SKUs. Then it has to it may carry out the cross docking activities and planning, labeling and sortation. Then it has to have sortation by various categories, by various orders, vehicles and geographical area. Then it has to carry out it has to provide support for dispatch operation as well, which involves many documentation and transmission of advance shipping notices. Then many management activities like workload planning, performance measurement, productivity scheme modeling, billing, pallet management and customer reporting has to be carried out through WMS. Then stock counting for full count and perpetual inventory, for tracking goods by inward batch number and so on. So, typical this shows how a warehouse management system is, which carries out the activities we have discussed just now, gets information and sends information to various other subsidiary systems. For example, it gets the data and sends some data to enterprise information system. So, this warehouse management system gives some data to the enterprise system and also gets the data from the enterprise system. There is two-way information flow, and similarly there is also two-way information flow between barcode system and RFID system, which are for tracking and traceability and automatic data capture. Then there has to be again two-way information flow between equipment control systems such as equipment such as conveyors, AGVs, inline scales, sortation systems and so on, and again same thing, same two-way information flow between peak to light systems. Now, when it comes to the data flow between WMS and ERP, WMS accesses the information such as purchase order to download and to download the customer order. Then WMS feeds back the information such as goods received and dispatched. Then WMS controls all the operations in the warehouse and issues the instruction to subsidiary systems based on the data available from ERP. So, now how this is connected to the various equipment control systems, we saw that it can be connected to cranes, it can be connected to AGVs and so on. So, the WMS controls all the operations in the warehouse and issues instruction to subsidiary systems. So, there is information flow between the subsidiary system and WMS. This is one example. This WMS may issue an instruction order to a control system for a crane to move a specific pallet from a peak and deposit station at the end of the aisle to a particular location in the racking. The equipment control system will then direct the crane and provide the feedback and diagnostics if the crane cannot fulfill its operation. So, it is a whole set of the point that we are going to make. This is just one example. The point that we are going to make is this is a whole set of complex information flow, which is not only the traditional information system, but the flow is from information system and back to the information system from the control system of the equipment. Then WMS can be connected with these peak to light systems. This WMS inputs the instruction to peak to light system for guiding the operator. Now, what this is for basically when this manual picking takes place, because it is a very large warehouse. Whenever there is a manual picking taking place, the lights will be guiding the operator starting from his current position till the point where he is supposed to go. So, this peak to light order fulfillment technology employs alphanumeric displays and buttons at storage locations to guide the manual picking and recording the items for shipping. Then this WMS also has to be connected with automatic data capture and transmission systems like that of barcode and RFID, where this barcode is, as we know, barcode is a line of sight technology where the barcode has to be read by a certain reading device, which has to be kept close to the item to the barcode tag, so that this system can automatically read. Then we have RFID system, in which the data that is stored within this RFID tag can be transmitted back to the antenna and give the details of the item on which the tag is put. Now, next one is our transportation management system. This is a transportation the functional component of typical transportation management system, and all the elements, all the functionalities that are represented here may vary from depending on the type of the business a company is, but these are more or less the various activities under a transportation management system. Now, let us individually see. If we look at this can be strategic, tactical and operational, and they span over various departments: planning department, execution department, vehicle management department, finance department and so on. So, let us individually see at each level what are various functions which has to be which are part of the part of a typical transaction management system. So, first one is the list of the strategic activities which are part of a transport management system. First one is transport sourcing. So, this is about deciding which kind of transportation, I mean how to acquire a transportation system and how to source a particular transportation agency. So, this is about sourcing and procurement process of the transportation service. Then next one is your performance management. This is performance management of the total transportation process based on the past data. So, many business intelligence activities, functionalities are added to this particular component. Then there is network design, which is about strategic planning to optimize the distribution network of an organization to decrease the cost. This is some kind of optimization takes place. Then your carbon footprint calculation. Depending on your transportation network, your movement of the vehicle, you calculate the carbon footprint. Then next activity is your contract management. It is about how to manage the contract between the organization and its suppliers. Then you have many tactical transportation functionalities in a typical software. First one is your capacity management. The transportation of the the management of transportation capacity, it ensures the management of transportation capacity to ensure that it is available when it is needed. It uses many analytical tools like that of forecasting, simulation, etc. Then next activity is your asset and fleet management, which deals with various management activities to control the assets that are owned or for which the long term uses contract is made. So, because those items are actually keeping those items in proper condition is the responsibility and liability of the organization. Then it also includes fleet management. It also has fleet management activities, which includes the functions such as vehicle financing, vehicle maintenance, vehicle telematics, fuel management, health and safety management. Then also it takes care of the transportation units like that of trucks, trailers, rail cars, ships, etc. And it also takes care of the management of reusable load units like your containers or pallets. Then another two more activities under tactical transportation functionality are resource management, which is under rate and tariff management, and its resource management is about the efficient and effective deployment of organizations' own employees when they are needed. Then next is actually your rate and tariff management, which is about registration of the transportation rates and rates for customers and subcontracted carriers. Actually, this transportation activity, this carriers, the transportation activity involves crossing the political boundary of a country. As the rules and regulations vary, different tariffs and tax structures are adopted in different places, and accordingly it has to be calculated. Then next activity under this warehouse management system is at the operational level. In operational level, we can have two types of activities. One is planning activity, set of planning activities and set of execution activities. Coming to planning activities, we have the activities like shipping consolidation and load or trip planning. Here the planning of the physical load for placement in the truck or some other transportation unit depending on the mode of the transport. So, it is deciding which load will go to which kind of transportation unit. Then it also provides the functionalities, these planning functionalities on load design. By load design we mean how to put the load in a truck or some kind of other transportation unit. So it can be it has to be, for example, see if you are it is a, you have to plan, the plan will be 3 dimension depending on your SKU sizes or the goods that is to be transported and the nature of the good. For example, if you are transporting let us say some glass material, some cartoons involved in the glass material and all, and along with others, then you have to make sure that those glass material has to go to the top, or depending on the carrier's capacity you have to decide how much load you will be putting and how the items have to be organized so that the space, while taking care of the load, the not much space is wasted. I mean, to minimize the waste of space, the space wastage within the carrier. And if some of you have already taken some courses in operations optimization, operations management, you must be realizing that these are all this that we are discussing are actually quite NP-hard optimization problems. In fact, we are not going to discuss about the optimization problem, but all of them are high end optimization problems. Then is your route planning. This based on the created trips and actual routes, the actual routes are determined at the street level. Take into consideration the granular geographical information of your area through which this distribution activity has to take place. Then 2 more activities under this are fleet and driver planning. In case your own equipment is used to execute the actual shipment, like you are allocating vehicles and drivers to planned loads and routes, it takes care of many constraints such as driving hours. Driver has to, let us say one driver has to maximum drive per day some 8 to 10 hours, etc. The current location of the drivers, so that they can be, driver can be picked up from, come from a nearest location, then condition of the equipment and so on. For example, if some carrier has to go for maintenance and all, then carrier selection, it is about transport mode selection, whether it is a road transport, rail transport, or it has to be some maritime transport and so on. Then selection of the actual carrier. Then so far whatever we have discussed at the strategic level, at the tactical level and operational level, all of them are actually either intensive they use either intensive data analysis and business intelligence, or they are optimization problem. But just like any other system, this WMS is also has many kind of transaction activities. Now those are grouped under this execution, operational execution activities. Let us see what are those transaction activities are. First of all, order entry and consolidation, which involves registration, validation and management of orders. Then we have dispatching, which about the carriers or your own drivers, whenever and when they are supposed to be informed. I mean, your system has to give you some kind of alert. Then your order status information, the process used to record the information related to pickups and collection and delivery of shipments. These are very mundane items, transaction kind of items. This has to be, there is no complex decision making involved here. Once the procedure is established, they has to be carried out. Then global logistics execution and customs, Then transport documents, I mean the global logistics execution customs and transport documents, which is for supporting international transportation with trade compliance and import export. Then you have your yard management, which deals with management and administration of companies yard and dock doors of the distribution center. Then you have parcel management, which is about deciding the mode of transport and putting appropriate labels and sending them in appropriate vehicles. Then it is about execution monitoring, which is about fulfillment of a transport order and monitoring and taking corrective actions if something is not right. And it involves use of visualization and traceability tools like showing it on a GIS system, use of GPS for vehicle tracking, I mean your transport carrier tracking, or use of RFID technologies, knowing and sensor network, etc. While talking about the technologies, we will be talk about them more. So with this we finish. Thank you very much.